Well, who better to give his great analysis than John Catsimatidis? I'm the lucky one. I get to host Cats and Cosby with the great John Catsimatidis every day, 5 to 6 p.m. I get to co-host with John Cats and Cosby every day. They're on 77 WABC radio. And, of course, he is the owner and operator of Red Apple Media, which, of course, syndicates the Rita Cosby Show. And, John, we have listeners from all over the country. You know, thanks to you and Margot, we have millions of listeners. What was your take? Because you know President Trump well, and you and I have both been at a lot of these dinners, like the White House Correspondents' dinner. What did you think tonight?
I think he tried to be very civilized. I think at the beginning, he was doing a lot of soul searching about being there. And the fact that they didn't have a hitman and they had a mentalist there, I think they were being civilized back. So in other words, there was a couple of hits here and there. But overall, I think they respected the president. And I think the president respected them, and I was very happy about it. And what did you think, Rita? I mean, we were there together last time. We were together.
Yes, I think that I thought that he did a good job. I think that the crowd was a little tough on him, unfairly so, just because you and I have been there when it's been, Republican and Democratic presidents. And, usually I felt like they would be laughing more if it was like, I don't know, I feel like they laugh more to Joe Biden. And I didn't think he was as funny as President Trump was tonight. President Trump is such a master communicator. So I think a couple times when they panned to the crowd, I'd sort of see them just kind of sitting there. And I'm thinking, oh, come on, please clap for this great joke that he just said or this point. But I thought, to your point where you started there, John, I think he was very civilized. I do think you're right. He was soul searching at the beginning. It must have been just an unbelievable realm of emotions to be giving the address there at the White House Correspondents' dinner. This was the first time, by the way, that he has spoken. He said that at this dinner. And after, given what happened the last time, where he obviously couldn't even go to the stage, to me, this was so powerful to see him there. And I thought, boy, this man has such determination, such this never give up spirit. That I was thinking about that, John, like what an incredible moment. And it's that same spirit of in Butler. Remember when the guy took the shot and it grazed his ear and he said, fight, fight, fight. Like what an amazing human being that he said, we will finish this night. And so there was such powerful symbolism that he was there speaking and delivered the address.
And the other thing that he was remembering, and I could tell he was remembering because we know each other so long, is the fact that he had told me, and I'm sure he told a lot of people, and that when President Obama was hitting on him the last time he was there as a civilian, and Obama was speaking, that's deep down inside. I think he was very angry, and he made up his mind that he was going to run for president.
Yeah, and he brought that up. Did you see there was a reference kind of to that too tonight, John? That he brought up this comment, and President Trump always sort of speaks out off the cuff and what he's thinking. And then I also, what I also thought was amazing too, John. He also said, "I will be back next year." I mean, he deals with adversarial press every single day. He dealt with sort of lukewarm press tonight there in that room. And yet he said, I'm still coming back. And he talked about Iran. He talked about, obviously, the midterms. He talked about some of these potential presidential, candidates. I mean, think about all the things he's juggling. Who could handle all of that, John? I mean, so many who's who. I can't think of almost anybody in the world who has such tenacity to be able to deal with it and to deal with all the incoming that he has in terms of verbal incoming, also the threats against him. The Secret Service just put out right before the Correspondents' dinner that there has never been a threat environment like we're seeing tonight. And yet he got up there and he gave a long, great speech, full of energy and zest. And I almost can't think of anybody else who could handle the pressure and everything he has on his plate, John.
And he did look like he was a little bit overweight, but I'm sure he was wearing a bulletproof vest. I think that's the reason for it.
Yeah, I think so too. And think about everything he's juggling. I mean, John, he's juggling right now, potentially maybe another strike, a massive one, he says, on Iran. He's obviously, dealing with all the midterms around the corner, too. He's dealing with, various press interviews. I mean, today he already did a whole news conference today. He answered more questions today than I think Biden did, in many, many months, maybe even a year, just in one afternoon. I mean, he is the Energizer bunny like you, John.
Rita, the one thing I did notice, though, and a lot of those people in there are Washington-based, that when he talked about that he made Washington, D.C. safe again, that people realize he's telling them the truth.
Yes. By the way, John, that was an interesting moment because they were clapping when he said that. I saw that too. Like they were so grateful, right?
Absolutely, and he realized, and when he talks about Illinois and why, me and you, we talked about it during Cats and Cosby a few weeks ago. When we had Rod Blagojevich on, the former governor of Illinois, why isn't Pritzker asking for help in Chicago? And what was it, 283 kids died in the last, since the Iran war began, and nobody's asking for help. I mean, he saved Washington. You know how many lives he saved in Washington, D.C.? And he could do the same thing in Chicago. All they have to do is ask for help. And Pritzker is just, and
it's all politics, John, don't you think? Sadly, it's all. How sad is that?
It's very sad, very horrible. And the governor of California, I mean, he joked about it, but he was very serious that the fact is, if they handle the fire right, so many homes, what was it, like 13,000 homes perished, or maybe more. That many homes would not have perished. And these people can't get even permits to rebuild their homes. What is going on in our country? It's very, very sad. And I think he had a couple of solemn moments where he was saying that to the people and say, how can you allow this? I know you want to be left wing. I know it's the thing to be in your, to be accepted within your colleagues, because, but how can you allow this? What was going on in California? How can you allow this? What's going on in Illinois? I mean, he cleaned up New Orleans. He cleaned up Washington, D.C. He sent people to Memphis that was in a very bad shape. And making America, the American people have the right to feel safe in their own communities. And that's what he's doing. And I think he was just trying to point it out. And maybe there was a realization to a lot of them in that room when he brought up Washington, D.C., and they see it with their own eyes that 1% or 2% of really bad people commit 91 or 92% of the crimes.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because I noticed that too. Like you said, John, that they were clapping at that moment, because you're right. They see it every day when they go to the work at the White House to cover the president. You know, the other moments I also thought were interesting, John. He is so patriotic. And he started his speech by obviously thanking the Secret Service for the great job they do protecting him every day. He knows their job is obviously a very difficult and tenuous one because of the threat environment we're in and the courage of this president. And then he also praised the police. He praised the military. He's just one of these people who you could tell he loves this country, and talked about his sort of appreciation of who we are. And he also said the best is still yet to come. Like, I love that, he's dealing with a, adversarial press, And yet he forges ahead through all of this and still says, we're going to do even more together. I thought it was a very optimistic, powerful speech.
Absolutely. And he pointed out that our military is at the strongest ever. Well, when Biden was president, when President Biden was president, the fact is nobody was getting recruited.
Right.
People felt they didn't have a president. He would have a press conference every 3 months. President Trump has 3 press conferences a day. Communications with the press. Aren't they impressed that at least he's there for them every day? I mean, so I don't know why any of them would be negative. And me, Rita, you've known me for such a long time, and we know him for a long time. And you notice the words he used. The fact is, I like to communicate with every press person because if you don't communicate with them, they're going to write a bad story. And that's me. I do the same thing.
Yes.
No matter who it is.
Yep.
I communicate with them. And 99.9% of the stories I get are really not bad because, I tell the reporters the truth.
Exactly.
And they know I'm telling them the truth. And President Trump has the courage to stand up nose to nose with them and tell them the truth. And I hope they have even more respect for them in the future, because some of these people have bosses that are way on top, and they're scared. They are scared not to give the big bosses what they want.
Isn't that sad, John? But you're right. It's sad.
It is very sad. That's what happens. If the people, the reporters, the producers, I better make the boss happy.
Well, I'm glad. By the way, I want to say one thing. I'm glad my boss is built on common sense because that's why we love you, John. You and Margot are all about common sense, fairness. Just tell the truth. And if you saw the truth
we
here,
we do argue amongst ourselves in the studio with us at Katz and Cosby. We got common sense Democrats, Judge Weinberg. We have Governor Patterson, common sense Republicans, Ed Cox, Craig Eaton, and we argue. But at the end of the day, we have self-respect with each other. And that is what Americans always had self-respect for each other. Democrats, Republicans. I remember the days of President Clinton and Newt Gingrich. They didn't necessarily like each other, but they sat around the table and did what's good for America.
Absolutely.
And that's what is important. Have you ever seen Newt Gingrich and President Clinton took the deficit from $5.5 trillion down to $5 trillion?
Right. They did it together.
Yeah, and they did it together for the good of America, and we've never seen that number again. It went from $5 trillion all the way up to, where are we now, 37, 38, 39? I mean, give me a break. And most of the money that's being wasted is fraud. A lot of it is being fraud. If our deficit was $2 trillion, the fraud was at least $700 billion of that $2 trillion.
Absolutely. John, you are right on. And think about all the things that if we join forces just for the good of America, which is what we talk about every day on Katz and Cosby, what a difference we can make. John, we love you. And it's always such an honor to be with you on Katz and Cosby. Thank you for calling in on such a busy news night. Love you.
You guys do a great job at 10 to 12, and I'll catch you at the I guess Monday at 5 o'clock.
I can't wait. Have a great weekend. Love you, John. Thanks so much.
Bye bye.
Thank you, and we'll go to a break, guys.